Do you want to take time for self-care, but you're still not quite sure what self-care really is? Well, today I am going to talk about what self-care really is and why you should be practicing self-care regularly. Let's talk about it. Hey, I'm Cherith Fluker. Welcome back to the channel. Around here, I love helping busy women be unapologetic about putting themselves first. And today I want to take a little time to talk about what self-care really is. Come on, let's chat. When we hear the phrase self-care, our minds go automatically to the beach trips, the spa days, the binge watching Netflix, all of those fun things. And those things can be a source of self-care, but I want to take a little time to dig deep into what self-care really is. All of those things are really fun, but self-care is so much more than that. By definition, self-care is anything that you can do or not do to help put yourself in a better place physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. These are those activities that really help you to just be well. If we're being real honest, self-care isn't always pretty, and it's not always fun. Things like managing your money, ending toxic relationships, eating better, all of those things classify as self-care as well. I also want to remind you that self-care is not something that we should resort to when we are at our wits' end. It's something that we should be doing regularly to keep us from getting to the place where we feel like we can't go on. I like to call self-care us being the hero of our life. It is about us taking control, making an assessment of all of the things in our lives that are stressing us out and overwhelming us, and coming up with a plan to manage that so that we can handle life. It is very unrealistic to think that we are not going to have a stressful life and that we're not going to have things that come to distract, and I say destroy us. It is our job to do things on a regular basis that are going to help us to be able to better face those things when they come our way. In order for us to have a real self-care routine, though, we have to be real about what stresses us out, what drains our energy, what upsets us. We have to be aware of those things so that we can see what our body feels like when those things come our way and figure out how to guide our bodies and our minds through these things. Stop right here and let me put in this disclaimer. Self-care requires work, hard work. And I can sit here all day and give you suggestions of activities for self-care. But the truth is, it has to be something to work for you in order for it to be self-care. And that may mean that you have to try a few things or a combination of a few things to figure out what's going to put you in that place to where you can face those obstacles in your life. Just remember, self-care isn't a one-size-fits-all thing. These lists that we put out, I've put out several lists before. These are just suggestions of things for you to try to see if they put you in a better place. I also want to be real honest with you. I haven't always bought into this idea of self-care. As we are on this journey and we are figuring out the things that we need to do to put ourselves in a good place or to be well, we need to remember these things. Number one, having a self-care routine is not selfish. Don't let people fool you into thinking that self-care is selfish. As a matter of fact, it is quite the opposite. If you are not in a good place, if you are not performing at your peak level, it is impossible for you to do the things that you need to do for other people. So it's not selfish for you to have a self-care routine because you're putting yourself in optimal position to be able to handle all the things in your life that you have to handle. So self-care is not selfish. Having a self-care routine is in fact very necessary. Number two, establishing a self-care routine is not going to be easy. It is not as easy as 1, 2, 3. It is easy for you to start incorporating these activities, but you've got to do these activities regularly enough for you to know if they're working for you or not. If a friend of mine loves going to the spa, but the spa stresses me out because of the environment, that's not going to be a good self-care routine for me. So it is hard because you have to try certain things to see what it is that's going to float your boat and put you in the best space possible. The third thing, even though self-care is hard, you can do it. Even if you don't have the time or resources to do what other people are doing for self-care, you can figure out a self-care routine that's going to work for you. You have to use what you got until you get what you want. I say that all the time. You have to figure out what works for you. You may have to try less expensive options that could be just as effective. You don't always have to be doing something that costs money. You can take a walk. You can take a few deep breaths. You can take a nap. Those are all things that are self-care. So just know that even though it's hard, you can do it. And this brings me to my last point. Self-care is unique. What someone else is doing for self-care may not be what you need to do for self-care. While you are looking at the suggestions, make sure to pick and choose the things that are going to work for you. I was having a conversation with my friends about getting a manicure. Some people love getting manicures and pedicures. Other people, it stresses them out. So don't try to indulge in self-care activities just because someone else said that that's what you need to do. You need to do what works for you. So to sum all of this up, here's what self-care really is. It's taking care of yourself. It's doing the things to re-energize yourself and to fill up your cup. It's listening to your mind and your body and doing the things or not doing the things that put you in a better place. If you need some ideas of some self-care activities, you can go ahead and check out this video right here where I share some activities to help you get started with your self-care routine. I'll see you over there.